you so much. Tonight, we are here to celebrate a great victory, not only for America, but also here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. All Virginians who voted for Donald Trump worked incredibly hard. And one particular lady in particular, Alice Butler Short, has made all the difference here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Alice founded Virginia Women for Trump to create a strong base of active grassroots support among women for Trump, and to bring women of all ethnic backgrounds together as Americans. And I am personally here to tell you, she has exceeded that goal. She has been amazing, and it has been an honor to be on this journey with her. This is so important to Alice because she is also an immigrant. She lived in 7 countries. She traveled the world with her husband, Colonel Al Short, while he served our country in uniform. She has held 4 citizenships. And 30 years ago, Alice became a citizen of the United States of America. Her patriotic spirit is why she started our organization, our movement. Because you see, Alice is a patriotic woman who recognized that the women of Virginia needed a voice. And we found that voice in Alice Butler Short. And I am so happy that all of you have joined us in this great movement. She has done multiple interviews with multiple news outlets, internationally as well as here in the United States. And the reason she was willing to do so many interviews is because she was convinced that she had to be the voice to debunk the myth that Donald Trump did not like women. In these interviews, she gave insight into the character, the strength, and the vision of the man that she knew early on and in her heart would be our next president of the United States. Let me just mention a few outlets that she has interviewed. Australia Television, BBC, PBS, China, Netherlands, Switzerland, Vietnam, Mexico, NBC News 8, NBC News 7, and Al Jazeera. Alice has worked tirelessly 24/7 with all of the Virginia Women for Trump. And many of you are here tonight. It is with her leadership, her advice, and her encouragement. That is why we were able to bring Mr. Trump more votes in Virginia than before. And I am very proud to be a part of this movement. Let me just mention a few of the grassroots efforts that Alice has done. She has held training sessions, primary election watch parties, debate watch parties in her home. She has provided opportunities for the regional Fairfax director for Trump. She has connected him with so many people. She welcomed and reached out to him. And as a result of that, she was able to find numerous people who would make phone calls, numerous people who were willing to go door to door. She even organized women from Maryland to come into Fairfax County to knock on doors every weekend. Is that not amazing? She has traveled all over the state with Corey Stewart, the Virginia chairman for Trump, speaking at the Reagan-Lincoln dinners, Republican committee meetings, Republican Women Club meetings. They became known as the dynamic duo. And I assure you, anywhere that Corey and Alice went, you were informed and you were entertained. Here are some of the achievements as a result of Alice's leadership and all the women in the Virginia Women for Trump movement. In August of 2016, I had the distinct honor of hosting an afternoon tea for Trump down in Fredericksburg, Virginia. It was our first official gathering of women, and wow, was the response amazing. We had women as far as Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, and as far as Virginia Beach, Virginia, to come to our event. That first gathering, we had 175 women. And I want you to know, they're still talking about that afternoon tea for Trump. It was Alice Butler Short who introduced the Diamond and Silk ladies. I'm sure you've heard of them. They have received great notoriety. And it was Alice Butler Short who brought them into Northern Virginia. And that was actually my first event. And both of those ladies are from North Carolina, my home state. So it was really great to see these fabulous women on tour promoting Donald Trump for president. Is Doug Burton and Jim Boothby in the room? If you are, please stand. Jim Burton and Jim Boothby. These two gentlemen created the voter guide. It was a scorecard. Virginia Women for Trump personally distributed 25,000 of those voter guides. Gentlemen, thank you so much. It was a fabulous campaign tool. And I must tell you, tonight would not be fair unless I mention the Donald. The Donald was Alice's brainchild, a vintage 1993 red truck. It was a moving billboard that traveled up and down the highways and byways of Virginia, Maryland, and Pennsylvania. I had the opportunity to ride in the Donald with Alice, and I assure you, everywhere we went, we were getting high fives. People were honking their horns and giving us a thumbs up. It was an amazing trip to be with her, and we had so much fun. And I'd like to share with you an opportunity of a story just to show you how the Donald impacted this election. I received a call from Alice, and she said, "Laura, I'd like you to come with me to interview with Australian television one of our ladies, Carolina. But we have to go to her office, and it's the Democratic National Committee office because she has a suite in there." I said, "I'm ready." So there we were. We drove into the parking lot in the Donald, and as we turned in, she said, "Be prepared for people to fall out the window." Australian television was interviewing Alice and Carolina and another lady who worked with her, and I was standing off to the side. And a gentleman came out of the building, and he was taking pictures of the Donald. So I took it upon myself to just quietly go over to him. I introduced myself to him, and the first words out of his mouth, "Are you a Republican?" And I said, "Lifetime Republican." "And you?" He said, "I'm a Democrat." And I said, Donald Trump loves Democrats and independents. Frank then went on to say, is this a setup? Did you stage this? Do you realize where you are? And I said, yes, we're in Falls Church, Virginia, right? He said, you're standing in front of the Democratic National Committee headquarters, and I'm the executive director. And I have been for 5 years. At which point, I pulled out the voter scorecard. As I pulled out the scorecard, one lady came out of the building holding a Stronger Together sign, and I kept on talking to Frank. And as we're talking, he starts nodding in agreement. And I'm nodding in agreement. The lady with the sign disappears. We have not seen her since. And before you know it, Frank turns to me and says, Laura, I can understand the attraction you all have for Donald Trump for president. I then said, Frank, jump on this train for us because we're going to all make America great again. He thanked me and he went back inside. I am here to say to all of you, never ever think that someone will not listen when you talk about Donald Trump. We had the opportunity to go up to Hershey, Pennsylvania in the Donald. And I knew we were going to be driving through Maryland. I want you to know that people on the roads in Maryland were giving us high fives and giving us woohoo! It was amazing. We pulled up to the Hershey Arena, and as we were on the perimeter of the parking lot, there were at least 1,000, maybe 2,000 people standing outside ready to get in. And as soon as they saw the Donald, a loud applause erupted from the parking lot. We knew we were in the right place. These are just examples of Alice's leadership, tenacity, unstoppable spirit, and hard work. And it must be also emphasized that Alice has done this as a volunteer, as we all are volunteers of Virginia Women for Trump. She is driven by the same motive as President-elect Donald Trump, and that is love of country. Everything she has done has been from her heart. When faced with adversity within the campaign, she kept on going forward. In fact, she coined the phrase, "We are Trump women. We never give up." And it is now my distinct pleasure to introduce you to the lady who has made tonight all possible, to the lady who has not given up, who knew that Donald Trump would be our next president. It is my pleasure to introduce to you my dear friend and State Director, Virginia Women for Trump, Alice Butler Short.
Again, because I don't like speaking when there's a whole lot of noise in the background. So can we say shh? All right. I am here tonight because from day one, I saw that Donald Trump was going to be our next president. I saw his vision, I saw his character, I saw his strength. And tonight, he is here with us, and he has something to say to you. We're going to try that again. No, you can't hear it. But anyway, he says he's going to be the greatest president that God ever created. And he will be the greatest that we've had in a long time. Now, Virginia Women for Trump was founded for Donald J. Trump, and it is going to stay for Donald J. Trump. And we had some suggestions about changing the name, but no, we're going to be Virginia Women for Trump forever, because we will be with him through his presidency and, if I'm still around, for his legacy. Anyway, without too much ado, I want to introduce to you a great speaker tonight, and that is my BFF, right? Steve Moore, who is the Senior Economic Advisor to Donald J. Trump. He has to leave for another appointment, and he has very, very kindly rushed in here to speak with us. So, Steve, come on up. Thank you very much.
Was November 7th the greatest night of your life? Does it get any better than that? I got to tell you, I was up in New York. I was actually at Trump Tower on election night, and the next morning I was walking down Fifth Avenue, and these two kind of liberal jerks come up and they kind of intentionally bump into me, and they say, I guess they recognize me from Fox or something, said, I hope, they said something like, you a-hole, I hope you're happy. I said, yeah, I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy. Aren't you happy about the way this turned out? And incidentally, when I was here, how many of you were here at the dinner we had about a month ago? A lot of you were. You may remember that I had announced that Nancy Pelosi, Michael Moore, Barbara Streisand, and Alec Baldwin had all vowed to leave the country if Donald Trump won. But isn't this so typical of liberal liars? They're still here. They're still here. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the agenda. Before I do that, I want to say something about all the people here. If you were someone who volunteered or contributed or gave your time or your money or your passion to this campaign, will you please stand up? Please, everyone, stand, probably everybody in this room. Thank you for what you did. Herb, thank you for creating this miracle. It was an amazing, amazing thing. You made a huge difference. And this was an election that was won, obviously, by the great Donald Trump and a great team that he put together, my friend Kellyanne and all the others who worked on this. But everyone who contributed money or time or effort or whatever you did, we needed every vote we got, right? And so thank you to all of you who contributed to make this amazing election possible. I don't know how many of you saw what happened with the consumer confidence numbers this week. Did any of you see that? For those of you who didn't see it, because of course the media didn't announce this. Last week, for the month of November, we saw the biggest increase in consumer confidence in 30 years. In 30 years. People are so fired up for Donald Trump, and not only that, look at what's happened to the stock market. Look what's happened to the stock market since Donald Trump was elected. The Dow Jones is up 1,000 points. And everywhere I go, I've been on cloud nine. I haven't come down. Have you come down yet since election night? I mean, let's enjoy this, right? Let's enjoy this for the next year or two. I haven't come down to this, but I'll be walking down the street and literally people will come up to me and just hug me. People are so happy about what happened, and that it is going to be a directional turnaround. I'll tell you a few things that we're going to do. Number one, Obamacare is Obama gone. Obamacare is Obama gone. No more Obamacare. Number two, we are going to pass within the first 100 days, the biggest tax cut since Ronald Reagan was in office. We're going to cut the business taxes from 35 to 15%, and this is going to be enormous. By the way, one of the things that has not gotten a lot of publicity, we are going to completely repeal the immoral death tax in this country. No more death tax, no more estate tax in this country. It is confiscatory. Number three, We are going to repeal. I said this, remember, for those of you who were here 3 weeks ago, I said this, but it bears repeating. Sorry, it bears repeating. On the first day in office, which is only, what, less than a month away, in the first day that Donald Trump is in office, he will enter the Oval Office, he will sit behind the desk in the Oval Office, we will put 50 executive orders on his desk, and he will repeal every single illegal executive order that Barack Obama has passed, including at the top of that list will be to repeal something called the Clean Power Plant Bill. We're going to put tens of thousands of coal miners back in the jobs where they belong. Let's put them right back in the jobs where they belong. I finally figured out, by the way, why it is that Donald Trump so outperformed the polls. Because, on election morning, the last polls had Donald Trump losing by 3 percentage points, and the polls were all wrong, right? And here's the reason the polls were all wrong. I was in Florida the weekend before the election, and I saw a bumper sticker, and this bumper sticker explained everything. Ready? It said, "Vote for Donald Trump. Nobody has to know." Nobody has to know. And those were the silent Trump voters out there. Now, one other thing I want to say, and then I want to turn it over to the others, but I want to say this. We now have and don't we, as a party, as the Republican Party, to deliver for the people in Pennsylvania, and Ohio, and Michigan, and Wisconsin, and Iowa, and Indiana. Donald Trump is the first Republican president since 1984 to crash through that blue wall and turn those blue states into red states. And it was a beautiful, beautiful sight, and we have to do this. If we get this right, Alice, and thank you so much for what you've done, we're off to an amazing start. I'm working with the transition team, and I've got to tell you this, folks. If Donald Trump continues to hire the kind of people that he has hired, this is going to be a more conservative administration than Ronald Reagan, and that's saying a lot. We're going to see a revolution here in terms of the number of people who are coming in. We're going to downsize the bureaucracy. We're going to get government under control. We're going to get government off of businesses back. We're going to create the greatest period of prosperity in American history. You can take that to the bank. It's going to happen. We're not only going to make America great again, we're going to start making things in America again by redoing some of these obscene trade deals. And one other quick thing on the way out. How many of you agree with me? Never Romney. Mitt Romney does not belong in the cabinet of this president. Never Mitt Romney. That guy is a traitor to the Republicans. He should never be part of this. Never, right? Never Romney. All right. Alice, thank you for what you did. Thank you for all what you did. We're going to see one hell of a ride over the next 4 years. God bless you for everything that you did.
Thank you. So, Steve, when you go back, all you need to do is tell Mr. President-elect Trump, I love it, just tell him Virginia women said never Romney, and it's done deal. So now I have a very, very special person to introduce to you. So very quiet, please. I have a friend. She's been my friend for about 32 years. And she has traveled 20 hours to get here. So she's pretty exhausted. So you better stay quiet and hear her while she's talking. It's worth it. So I want to ask Congresswoman Amata Radewagen to come up here, and I want to talk about her for a minute before she talks. First, I want to tell you a little story. In 32 years, we never had a crossword, did we? Until. It was early on, and Amata is, correct me if I'm wrong, the senior committee woman with the RNC, right? The senior RNC member, right? She's very important there. And very early on, I wanted her to come out for Mr. Trump. Of course, she couldn't. So I pushed a little. And I pushed a little and pushed a little. And I wanted her to have lunch with somebody, because at that time, the delegates were very, very important. And the 9 delegates from American Samoa are unbound. So I wanted to get him locked up for Mr. Trump. So finally, she agreed to come to the lunch, and she said, okay, I don't want to do it, but I'll do it for you. And guess what the result was? Pretty soon she was able to come out, but she worked really hard. She introduced John Rayner as chairman for American Samoa, and he did an amazing job. Hi, John, if you ever see this. And we got the 9 delegates bound and just locked down for Mr. Trump. I think it was in March of this year. So that was huge. So now I have to go to my notes to tell you a little more about Amada, and then I let her speak. Okay. As a freshman, Amada was one of the very few members to get 2 leadership posts and 3 committees. She was re-elected overwhelmingly last month. I think it was she got 74% of the vote. 75. The first time she was elected 2 years ago, Amada beat a 13-term incumbent by 12 points, but also a recent 2-term governor by 30 points, meaning she clobbered them both. She had she had 8 opponents in 2014, but last month she won overwhelmingly by 75% and won the largest number of votes ever in the history of American Samoa. She sponsored 3 bills. I'm getting lost here. She sponsored 3 bills that passed and were signed into law, and is expected to pass 2 more bills next that will be signed into law by our new president. Next week, by you know who. But in order to get the votes she had to raise money. Her major opponent was the sister of her predecessor. Amada raised money, but she still has a debt. So I'm asking you now to help her by writing her a check to Friends of Amada, or go on our website, friendsofamada.com. Because we want this lady to be in office for a long time, don't we? Because remember that although the Congresswoman from Samoa cannot vote on the floor, she votes in committee where everything is decided. Am I right? Okay. So now Amada is tired. She's very tired, God love her, but she's going to say a few words to us. Thank you, Amada.
Thank you, Alice. Alice is absolutely right. She was way before anybody even considered that Trump might be possibly the nominee. Alice was out there banging the doors and just yelling and screaming for Trump. And we're so excited, just so excited that American Samoa was we were early supporters of Trump, and we were one of 8 states and territories. You needed 8 delegations in order to have your name placed into nomination as a presidential candidate. So we are just delighted. When I met with Ivanka on September 21, she was really very kind and sweet. She says, my father does not forget that little American Samoa was there when he needed help. So we are just really excited, but we're also so excited to see that the House, the Senate, and the White House, all these Republicans are coming in. So many longtime dear friends. Elaine Chao, she and I go back 30 years. She's going to be the Secretary of Transportation. My friend Betsy DeVos and I served on the Republican National Committee for almost 10 years, and she's going to take the Department of Education. So it's really very, very exciting for all of us. When we met with Vice President-elect Pence on November 21, he said, buckle down, bank on this win, and we're going to have an exciting time. We're going to be passing a lot of legislation. So right after the election, don't go anywhere. For the first 100 or 200 days, we got a lot of work to do. So we're very, very excited. But I wanted to thank Alice Butler Short for being such a good friend. She really is. And we were fortunate to have her join the American Samoa delegation at the convention, even though she's a Virginian. But she's one of our favorite people, and we just had a very, very great time. So thank you very much.
We had a great time tonight, fell down the steps.
And I see you haven't learned your lesson because you put those same shoes on again.
Thank you so much. And where is Laura?